This is the Main Event Marks, Dark Side of Wrestling History. For 7 long years, CM Punk's return to professional wrestling was the sport's impossible dream when he finally stepped back into the ring with All Elite Wrestling, AEW, in August 2021. The emotional eruption was unlike anything the business had seen in decades. This was not merely a wrestling angle, it was a cultural moment, the prodigal son coming home to validate a new company and cement his legacy. But beneath the tidal wave of cheers lay a fault line. A volatile mix of pent-up anger, fragile organizational structure, and the burden of expectations that guaranteed an explosive end. The darkness began to creep in as Punk's presence created a palpable divide. He was the undisputed star, a legend whose drawing power was immediate and immense, but his arrival immediately challenged the established hierarchy. On one side stood the executive vice presidents, EVPs, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega, who had built AEW from the ground up. On the other was Punk, a man notoriously uncompromising in his creative vision and deeply mistrustful of management. The friction was not just professional, it was personal. Punk's legendary ability to speak his mind, the very thing that made him a cult hero, became the professional hazard that poisoned the locker room, with veiled shots and genuine animosity escalating backstage over perceived slights and unprofessional conduct. This brewing hostility boiled over on September 4th, 2022, following the All Out pay-per-view. After regaining the AEW World Championship, Punk entered the post-show press conference not to celebrate, but to unleash a torrent of unfiltered venom. He verbally assaulted the EVPs and the company's infrastructure. This was the moment that the fictional boundaries of wrestling dissolved entirely. The brawl-out incident that followed was a descent into true chaos. The EVPs allegedly rushed Punk's locker room, leading to a violent physical fight involving chairs, bites, and punches. The incident permanently shattered the company's internal trust, exposed the management flaws, and instantly sidelined its biggest stars, transforming a celebratory night into the most infamous backstage fight of the modern era. Though Punk briefly returned to AEW's sister program, AEW Collision, the peace was merely an illusion. The fragile truce finally dissolved on August 27, 2023 at All In London's Wembley Stadium, the largest event in AEW history. Before the show even began, a confrontation erupted between Punk and young talent Jack Perry. The dispute centered on a spot in a previous show where Perry wanted to use real glass, an idea Punk opposed as unsafe. Backstage in London, after Perry made a remark on camera about using real glass, saying to cry him a river, Punk confronted him, leading to a physical altercation moments before Punk was due to walk out. The scene was pure pandemonium. In the aftermath, AEW owner Tony Khan later claimed he genuinely feared for his own safety, describing the incident as an act that endangered everyone working at the event. The company finally reached its breaking point. Following an investigation into the London incident, the decision was made to terminate Punk's contract with cause. The Dream return concluded not with a heroic final chapter, but with a total acrimonious separation in September 2023. The tragedy of CM Punk's AEW run is that the fire he brought to spark the revolution ultimately became the fire that burned down the house, leaving behind the chilling question of what could have been if the ambition had been tempered by diplomacy. The professional wrestling world has had its share of tragedies, but few are as impactful and defining as the plane crash of October 4th, 1975. A private Cessna carrying wrestlers Ric Flair, Johnny Valentine, Bob Brugers, and Tim Woods, as well as promoter David Crockett, crashed in Wilmington, North Carolina, forever altering the careers and lives of those on board. The dark side of this event was not an isolated moment of disaster, but a brutal, career-ending reality for several of its survivors and a powerful lesson on the fragility of a physically demanding profession. The crash was a result of the plane running out of fuel, a catastrophic human error that led to a brutal impact. While all the passengers survived the initial crash, the consequences were devastating. For Johnny Valentine, a legendary and feared heel at the time, the crash was a death knell to his in-ring career. A bone fragment from his broken back became lodged in his spinal column, leaving him paralyzed and forcing his immediate retirement. Similarly, Bob Brugers also suffered a broken back, ending his wrestling career prematurely. Their stories represent the ultimate dark side of the industry, the sudden, irreversible loss of a livelihood, and the physical abilities that defined them. This crash came just 8 months after the February 20th plane crash involving wrestlers Buddy Colt, Mike McCord, Gary Hart, and Bobby Shane. Their plane crashed into Tampa Bay while traveling in Colt's single-engine Cessna. Caught in a sudden, violent storm, the plane was piloted by Colt directly into the water, tearing the aircraft apart. In a desperate single-second struggle for life, 3 men, including Colt and McCord, managed to escape the wreckage and swim 300 yards to safety, with Hart heroically towing the injured McCord. Tragically, Bobby Shane, an ascending booker, was unable to free himself and perished. A devastating loss that sent a ripple of despair throughout the business. The crash not only ended careers and influenced lifelong injuries, but in a chilling testament to wrestling's rigid culture, it was met with cheers by fans at the next night's show who believed that the news was merely a part of a storyline, a moment of macabre reality that underscored the perilous life of a professional wrestler and the heavy cost of maintaining kayfabe. For Ric Flair, the crash was a different kind of tragedy, one that paradoxically forged his legendary career. Told he would never wrestle again due to a broken back in 3 places, Flair's sheer will and determination saw him return to the ring just months later. However, the injuries forced him to abandon his brawling, power-based style for a more technical, grappling-focused approach. This led to the evolution of his iconic Nature Boy persona, a gimmick that would make him the most celebrated champion in the history of the sport. The crash was a crucible that transformed a young wrestler into a titan of the industry, a testament to his resilience in the face of what many consider a career-ending injury. These 1975 plane crashes remain a stark and harrowing tale in wrestling lore. It's a somber narrative of careers cut short and lives permanently altered or lost. More than just a cautionary tale, it's a testament to the immense physical sacrifices wrestlers make and a powerful reminder of how a single unforeseen event can change the course of history, not just for individuals, but for the entire industry. May 19th, 1996. Madison Square Garden. It was supposed to be a farewell, a final show before 2 of the WWF's most influential stars, Kevin Nash, or Diesel, and Scott Hall, or Razor Ramon, defected to the rival promotion, WCW, lured by the promise of guaranteed contracts and big money. But what happened that night was not a fond goodbye, it was a brazen 90-second act of rebellion, a public execution of pro wrestling's oldest, most sacred rule, kayfabe. This backstage friendship, known as The Clique, had always been the most powerful, protected cabal in the business, and they were about to use their influence for one last shocking display. The unscripted moment arrived after the night's main event, a steel cage match between 2 members of the Clique, the heel Diesel and the babyface Shawn Michaels. When the match ended, the scene dissolved into anarchy. First, the fan-favorite Hall entered to embrace Michaels, standard. Then, the villain, Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who was supposed to be Hall's bitter rival, rushed to the ring. Finally, the 4 men, 2 hated villains and 2 beloved heroes, stood shoulder to shoulder, arms raised, locked in a group hug for the world to see. It was a spectacular corporate killing moment that exposed the deepest secrets of the industry. It's all a work. WWF's management was scandalized, but the damage was sealed by a detail that would define the modern era. A fan had smuggled a camcorder past security. The curtain call footage leaked, turning a house show event into a widely distributed scandal that confirmed to the entire wrestling world that the feuds were fictitious. Nash and Hall were gone, and Michaels was the WWF champion, making them untouchable. The weight of the world fell solely on the shoulders of the youngest and most vulnerable member of the group, Triple H. The corporate machine demanded a sacrifice. Triple H was severely punished, demoted from his impending main event push. The prize that was stripped from him, the 1996 King of the Ring tournament victory, was handed to the rising mid-card heel named Stone Cold Steve Austin. This single decision, born from corporate vengeance, inadvertently ignited Austin's explosive rise towards superstardom and sparked the WWF's revolutionary Attitude Era. In a profound twist of irony, the reckless act that broke the rules ultimately forced Vince McMahon to embrace the meta storytelling that would save his company from the rival promotion that had lured away 2 men who had started the fire. Triple H, by taking the fall without complaint, paid the price and, in doing so, quietly earned the respect and paved his future path to industry dominance. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Also, comment with your thoughts down below on all of this, as well as suggestions for future episodes. This has been the Main Event Mark's Dark Side of Wrestling History.